Ay, las caras lindas de mi raza prieta tienen de llanto, de pena y dolor. Son las verdades que la vida reta, pero que llevan dentro mucho amor.
The Afro-Latinx musical era was first established in 1978 when Ismael Rivera created the song Las Caras Lindas. The music allowed Afro-Latinx individuals to feel comfortable in their identity due to their struggle of feeling othered, or some other type of black. Specifically, Afro-Puerto Ricans were referred to as molta, or mules, in literary music and other artistic works. The concept of triple consciousness represents the split between Latinx and African Americans. The two groups are often pitted against each other for the title of largest minority and are often mutually exclusive. An individual can either be considered Latinx or Black, but not both. The social divide causes Afro-Latinx people to fall between the cracks and struggle with their identity. The music allows for the celebration of resilience and beauty of Afro-Latinx communities while empowering them by containing localized sounds and instrumentals. The overall message in the music persistently commemorates Blackness that counters forms of anti-Black racism by linking the musical aesthetics to local African-based traditions. The sounds were often specific to specific geographic regions, as well as referring to historical context.
Agua, dile, si Ponce no tiene, no sé por qué. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua, dile. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua, mi balance. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua, dile. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua de mi Loíza. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua, vamos a hacer. Agua, dile, agua, dile. Agua, mi balance.
The two major genres include plena and primarily bomba. Both were used to vocalize individual and collective struggles for African Americans trying to gain recognition as Puerto Ricans. Both genres helped institutionalize an understanding of the African Latin realm of music and dance. Bomba specifically is a traditional music style that intertwines African and Spanish culture. The bass rhythm involves the use of two or more drums. Bomba dates back to early European colonial period in Puerto Rican and was used by enslaved Afro-Puerto Ricans as a form of expression. The songs allowed for communication among different slave populations to convey their anger and their sadness. This form of communication became a catalyst for rebellions and uprisings, forming a sense of community and identity. Regardless of the artwork being deemed uncivilized or primitive by the elite in Puerto Rico, the musical movement created a foundation for future generations, including present, to express their identity in multiculturalism through the beauty of art and music.
Nitzia Scott, widely known as Nitty Scott, was born in Michigan and raised in Orlando, Florida. Her mother is Puerto Rican and her father is African American from New Orleans. She began to rap around age 14 and eventually moved to Brooklyn, New York at 17 to pursue her rapping career.
I woke up in a wilderness today, a place my mind could not remember, but my soul already knew. No longer searching for a steady breeze, there is soil on my skin and salt water in my blood. A descendant of God, I feel as if I am sunshine with a pulse. I bear my fertile flower from which humanity originates. Rivers of milk flow from me, and I watch his entire kingdom.
She finds music making to be a great form of personal expression. As seen in her album Creature, she explores her identities of being an Afro-Latina woman and bisexual. Nitty Scott specifically utilizes the musical genre bomba to link her Afro-Latinx roots throughout her album Creature. In her song La Diaspora, her words flow along to the traditional drums seen in the back of the music video. She even claims that she is dreaming to the beat of the drum.
Scott's album Creature, the song La Diaspora is the opening song of the album that gives a sense of calmness or being in your element due to the colorful indigenous utopia. The video is representative of ancient rituals that celebrate her identity and life in a pre-colonized world. The meaning of diaspora is the movement of or scattering of people from ancestral homelands. Her title, La Diaspora, accurately represents her song because the video focuses on a collective memory of a lost homeland or culture.
Let her beam, let her twist. Wine to remind and she twerk to resist. Working it, worship the earth in a dip. Stolen from Africa, seeking a gift. 16 on a ship.
Nitty describes her individual approach to resistance against a colonialistic history that caused the loss of culture in her lyrics. Wine to remind and she twerked to resist. Working it in worship and the earth in her dip. Stolen from Africa, seeking a gift. 16 on a ship. The sign also gives a sense of earth feminine energy that shows Nitty Scott reclaiming and re-imaging her freedom.
Besides her freedom, Nitty Scott finds herself unapologetically reclaiming and expressing her identity through the lyric Yo soy negra y latina.
Born in 1789 in the Western Cape of modern-day South Africa, her mother was from the San tribe, one of the oldest tribes in South Africa. Women from this tribe were known to have more developed and larger hips. Larger hips were a sign of beauty to tribes in Africa, but to Europeans it was a physical deformation. Bartman was captured by a rich farmer and then sold to a doctor. This doctor made Bartman his slave and sexual servant and sold her body to white men to touch for their sexual fantasies. Bartman was put on display to prostitute her body, becoming a sex object to people and becoming nicknamed the Hottentot Venus. Bartman died in December of 1815 at the age of 26, and her genitals, skeleton, and brain were displayed for 150 years.
See, I know about the black man and what he been through. What if I sung about the woman that he brought it home to? I've been crying for my brothers, but I cry for me too. Cause I'm the only one left to be more powerless than you. Even though it was she who taught the sun to get melodico. I'm plenty blended, but don't call me exotico. Like I was half black and half beautiful.
Nitty Scott begins her song for Sarah Bartman by discussing the focus on the black man's struggle and how history neglects the struggle of black women. As discussed in Kimberly Crenshaw's Mapping the Margins, Intersectionality, Identity, Politics, and Violence Against Women of Color, intersectionality as a focus on the intersections of race and gender to account for multiple grounds of identity when considering how the social world is constructed. The intersectionality of a black woman's identity is the main theme throughout Scott's song for Sarah Bartman.
Put you up to fight, and with your wildest cries I identify. See, I've been on display like items for their eyes, and I tried to board a midnight train. I said I have no money, but I have a lot of pain. All I wanted was to leave my father's house, make it out, but every time I sang...
She brings up the idea of power and how being a black woman in today's society is being a powerless victim. Black women are the ones raising their black children to be productive members in society, but they still obtain less power than the products of themselves. Nitty Scott sings about black women's beauty and how historically Bartman was displayed for her beauty, but she was really being displayed as a sex object. Instead of focusing on the true beauty of black women, society over-sexualizes women. Women are stripped from their pride because they lack power and freedom, but yet they are sexualized for the way they look. Women's bodies are put on display and they are left being shamed for the things that men are capitalizing them for.
Don't shoot. 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 Don't shoot.
You heard the verdict, nigga. Another murder. They want my energy, but they don't want my birdies. They want my gold chains, my old bay, my pesos, my Wu-Tang, my new slang. I know you wanna touch my braids, ho.
In her song Don't Shoot, Nitty Scott emphasizes the struggles that black people and people of color face, specifically pertaining to gun violence and racism. She states how they, the white people, want to participate and appropriate black culture but do not respect people of color as individuals. This can be translated into today's society as it relates to police brutality towards people of color and gun violence. This song emphasizes Nitty Scott's identity as a person of color in the United States.
Afro-Latino, Planet Taíno, en el Latino Live, vete conmigo. Tú eres de Lima, Havana, and Rio, you loving the Coco Loquillo. La negra tiene tumbao, la negra tiene tumbao, bao. Negra tiene tumbao, la negra tiene tumbao, bao. Look at the mix, babies on hips, rollers in all of my cholas with clips. Esa candela boricua morena, they up in favelas, all under eclipse. Negra tiene tumbao, la negra tiene tumbao, bao. Negra tiene tumbao, la negra tiene tumbao, bao.
Scott's track, Pussy Power, is an unapologetic expression of Afro-Latinx feminine identity. She transcends the boundaries of her physical body, rapping, "What's a place like me doing in a girl like this?" considering gender and the physical body as a construct that does not encompass the vastness of identity. She says, "Fuck the power because we've been defiant," as a nod to the historically relentless struggle against structural and social violence against womanhood and feminine power, and the strength of the responses to that violence. Throughout the track, a chorus repeats, "La negra tiene rumbao," which essentially means the black woman has swag. This line affirms identity and the struggle of women of color and the power of creative response to such marginalization.
Hello, I am Lois Aldea, la última reina, Taíno cacique de Borinquen. Welcome to my Ucayeke.
In her track, Pink Palm Trees, Scott begins the track imagining a world of harmony, love, and welcoming through a monologue with a person inviting their family into their world. This part of the track is juxtaposed to a slow in the beat and off tones that accompany the lyrics. She doesn't know her beauty. If only she could dance naked under palm trees and see her image in the river, she would know. But there are no palm trees in the street, and dishwater gives back no images. Which exemplifies how women of color often may not see the extent of beauty and strength as a result of colonial erasure and distortion that is perpetuated into contemporary times and urban environments. This obscured image is also attributed to the invalidation and erasure of identity and femininity.
In the book Black Women in Popular Culture, Robin M. Borlaug and Mark C. Hobson talks about pop culture within the music industry and how it portrays African American women. The book discusses Black motherhood in the music industry, Black women and gender violence, and I Am Not My Sister's Keeper, shifting themes in female rap videos, such as B feminism. Nitty Scott adds to this by uplifting the Black woman and also forcing society to recognize the power that women have through her songs like Pussy Power and La Diaspora. Today's music, unless created by someone who understands the social and economical struggles that women of color go through, restrict women to objectification and labelize women as whores, sluts, and many other terms. Nitty Scott's music and the specific songs from other artists portrayed in the book goes against this culture of dehumanization of women, as stated above. She also describes the struggles of women in society, such as housewives, giving up their dreams and aspirations to care for their families. She does this in her projects like Pink Palm Trees, where she talks about how the dishwasher gives back no image, which means that she cannot find what she loves to do and what she has to do. She's restricted to doing what she is told and asked to do by her husband and children, rather than making decisions for herself. She can no longer live out her dreams because she has to change her life and put everything for herself on pause in order to raise her family.
Nitty Scott's display of race and discrimination is highly relevant in her music. The article, Triple Consciousness, complements this idea of discrimination by pointing out the importance of America's heritage and its relationship with immigrants. This article points out the differences between Afro-Latinx immigrants and those who are U.S. citizens, and their struggle with being a minority. Nitty Scott's Afro-Latinx heritage relates directly to the article, Triple Consciousness. Scott frequently discusses and sings about her personal ties with discrimination as an Afro-Latinx woman as she goes throughout her projects, showing her pride for her culture and her heritage. She shows off her culture by producing her videos in a Latinx-based culture, portraying the music and the cultural dances as her lifestyle and something that makes her who she is. In many situations, Afro-Latinx people are discriminated against. As stated above, this is how she shows her pride for her culture and shows that there is nothing socially wrong with being a double minority, such as Afro-Latinx.
She does not know her beauty. If she could dance naked under palm trees and see her image in the river, she would know. But there are no palm trees on the street, and dishwater gives back no images. Nina.